Okay, we are all done with our zodiac eclipse downloads. I think that was such a big release of information. It is always such a pleasure for me to go into those readings because of the fact that I love nothing more than like connecting with the perspective of each of the zodiac signs. Like, you know, there's such a beauty and an art to speaking in a way that makes each of the zodiac signs feel like, yeah, you're talking to a Libra right now. You're talking to a Scorpio, you know what I mean? So I really enjoyed that. I don't know particularly what, I don't feel like I need to know up top which video this is filming next. I think it's just like general messaging that I can drop. So I'm just going to go ahead and get some energy updates as of now because I feel like everybody's really going to be well fed with the Zodiac series. I think you can kind of mix and match that if you're aware of like the zodiacal energy you make up and really kind of get a whole picture very personalized to you. So this is just a little bit more of just general maintenance that I'm doing at this time and just kind of looking at what's going on. So I was just going to use my crystal resonance deck to kind of get a feel for what the energies are at this time. Yeah, I think that at this time, the center of this message really has to do with the concept of purification and how the thing that should be motivating you at this time under the specific synchronistic energy of where we are in just the year that I'm recording this and all is that, you know, the joy and gratitude that you naturally feel that naturally propagates from your life in whatever sectors that may be should be motivating you to continue to do this purification where you keep pushing yourself to let go of these outdated beliefs that were never going to be what it was for you. And I think after doing all 12 of the zodiac signs, which I'm glad I revisited, I'm glad I didn't just like be like, there's not going to be a Leo and Scorpio. Like, I don't have that kind of jurisdiction. Like, I don't need to like exclude you guys. You guys just ended up getting like the biggest combo pack meal fucking messages there could have been. But I just feel like, again, to me, purifying even old ideals that I had, old ways that I just wanted to let shit be, or old ways that I really was putting all of my faith in other things. And I've been told for so long to just like genuinely build up like what I need to build up within to be able to like show up in this space, because I feel like that's just the thing. Like, I'm able to like really continue to show up in this space and be authentic to me and give messages here in a way that I would like to receive. Like, shout out to everybody in the spiritual community. I think it's such a healthy thing to be tapped into, building a connection with your internal voice, especially if you're dealing with different types of like media habits or social media habits or just device habits that you can't necessarily just like switch off. You know, I think this is a really great time. It's a great time to get into your spiritual health because there's so many people who create media for you to consume that has to do with your own spiritual health. But at this time, I feel like I really needed to start this next segment, this next video with the understanding that like I need to, in this message, give up and purify whatever pre-existing ideals about where I thought I was supposed to be and who it was supposed to be with. I am, you know, after the awareness that I got from getting to sit with you guys through those 12 signs, I'm like really seeing how much like I have transformed. This isn't the same, you know, version of me that had began this, and the messages don't seem to have even the same approach and caliber to them as they once did. And it has everything to do with what you had to purify in order to be able to do this, in order to be able to know that this is something sustainable, in order for me to know that like this isn't just somewhere that like holds a certain vibration when you go to it. It's not about anything being addictive. It's not about really pre-planning anything deeper than what it is I want to share, but it is also just like freeing myself to go at the pace that I need to go, and knowing that because of the transformation I've undergone, because of the purification, the things that I've let go of and released from my sphere, right? Because I just feel like that's what this kind of gives, is like these little fragments are finally being released from your sphere, and you don't feel any type of way about going into what it is you feel like you're meant to go into. So let's see. And protection. again, the purification leads directly to the protection. Like a lot of what was shared throughout the messages has to do with that. Like has to do with the divine really wanting to come through for each of us right now and let us know that like anything you're having to let go of right now is for your best protection. Like if anything is being initiated for you that feels like what the F word, like this feels like I'm having to get like purge this shit out. I'm not allowed to. It is in the eyes of the divine for your highest good. It is in the eyes of the divine something that is meant to protect you as I'm hearing, travel across the earth, as you continue your journey throughout the earth. And I think that something that is being reintroduced is that like gone are the days that we get really sedimentary in like what this life is. Like it's always moving and it's always changing. Like we just came through a major eclipse. And so we want to live in a way that kind of nothing will naturally propagate and make something special. So the way that we apply our will and the way that we apply our force towards commemorating what moments we do get to experience in life is the only way that you're going to like experience something sort of like anomaly in what you're going through. So I just think that that's the biggest opening message, is that like a lot of people post this eclipse are feeling this energy of, or even just right now as this message is finding you, are feeling like, you know, one, you needed a deep explanation for why you just had to purge so much. And I think it was to protect you. I think too, like for me right now, I need spirit to come through and tell me that like there were things that I was expecting or was hoping for, or still things that I was like addicted to like projecting and hoping and thinking like, well, God, I do so much for you and I serve so much that like, why can't I make this happen? And I think God is like, girl, I've always been trying to protect you from that. Like the answer is always yes to anything you want, unless it goes against your protection. That's the only time that it won't be manifesting for you. And so I think Spirit is saying like, you can reach the goals that you want to have monetarily. You can reach the security that you want to have by doing exactly what I'm doing here, by doing what I'm guided to do, and by working just as hard for myself as I would for these other things that I'm being protected against. You get what I'm saying? And so welcome to this new era, you know, where you just need to know that it is. I feel like that is the first message that's coming out. You just need to be aware of that. You need to really understand that like at this time, what's happened was to protect you. Anything that I removed you from was to protect you, period. There was no other thing, right? Because right now you are this much more, you're a much more balanced person who now can manifest light. Like I feel like we're returning to things post-eclipse that you wouldn't have been able to do previously. Like they wouldn't have had the same effect in the past because you're a different person. It just takes this different person to really bring forward this new manifestation of light, you know, to bring forward this idea to the ground and to blow out of the water anything that you expected from yourself, anything that you expected to receive from this moment, you know, because you are imbalanced now. Again, exactly. Another big thing for the recent past was getting the female power within all of us back up to speed, right? Because it was affecting the children. Like having a disempowered female energy, having a disempowered feminine energy in general was affecting our child landscape. It was affecting the things that we were creating, right? It was affecting the world's creative ability. So again, we had to purge out all of these things that were disempowering our female energy, throwing out of balance the masculine powers, the things that were, you know, weakening our crystalline energy, the things that were putting and abusing our children and are the things that we created. Like all of that has been purified at this time to where you really are just free to see that, like, because what I'm getting spit out with is like the thing that the new moon delivered me, like the future for me, the big movement, the big advancement is happening right now. Like the thing that I'm putting my time into and that I'm spending the time to carve out is the big thing that I was supposed to feel like, oh my God, Spirit wants me to celebrate. Congratulations. This is it. Like you have the right. You are purified enough, protected enough, and balanced enough to handle this, to communicate and just step into this very much prophetic role that you've always seen for yourself to play from a child, right? And I think because we healed our feminine energy, we have more faith that like, oh wait, I wasn't scared because there was always going to be a time where I could log on, drop the work that I do instantly and see ducats, see a storm brew around it. You get what I'm saying? Because it comes from love. You know, again, when we talked about like, what would you be doing in your life that you really love, right? This is what unifies the male and female power, right? Is love. It should be love that unifies those two opposing principles, those two differing approaches, right? Is this highest power, which is crowning us, like, right? Like this love that I have for this work, this craft, this experience, this way of channeling, this way of doing work, this way of connecting with people, also this way like of sharing myself is both my masculine and my feminine. And right now I'm producing things that I really love because I feel like I'm listening to what my divine feminine created all those years ago, which was like, you're going to be someone who uses this platform to share your thoughts and your accomplishments in terms of pioneering certain social sciences and thought. And your male power is going to fulfill it. You're going to sit down and you will get on board one day, Alexis, and you will do this. And there will be the outpour of love, the manifestation of love. And I will finally feel like I'm giving and receiving in equal parts. And watch how fast my life changes if I commit to this month, this time, right now, this awareness, as many things as I had to clear out just to see that this was all that was left, that this is all I needed in order to have all those dreams, in order to have that same reality that I think I need other financial institutions to give me. Have I tried to commit to the thing that God has been clearing me out of the way of to be able to complete successfully? Oh my God. And I just feel like there's going to be such a fulfillment of what you intended when you were a child. Like, I feel like whatever that inner child chose for itself is what you're going to have to live out in this new world. Like, love it or hate it, that's what it's going to be. And however your inner child was impressioned, like whatever resources it had to make the thing that it knows it's meant to do and be is what you're kind of locked into, which is why for me, like, it's still the same integrity, like close, like I'm right up on you, like we're having a coffee chat, but it's like a, low grade webcam vibe, but it's also clear audio. Like, it's exactly what a much younger version of myself had intended for, and I feel like that is what's manifesting. I think that no one could have seen it. I think the only person that could have seen it was like 2009 version of me, right? Who saw it and finally got out of the way to be like, okay, well, if I saw it, then that's why it was like that, right? The creation of it all. This is like how the masculine power can commit to what you created, because you already created a reality where this is where you were comfortable, where what I'm doing is what's comfortable for me, right? Like, and this may be for you as well. Like, what you're living out right now and what you're doing was something that was comfortable for you. But again, it needs to be acknowledged by your masculine power that you're going to go forward and create it. Like, the message that I had today when I woke up was like, dude, stop waiting for something else. You've been told what it's supposed to be for you. So have you put all your beans and marbles into continuing to share the message? You know what I'm saying? Like, I came out of a cycle where everybody wanted me to shut the fuck up. Everybody was telling me to shut up, really straight up, right? And so what about this space could not satiate that fucking part of me that's like, so many people don't want to hear what I have to say, don't want to hear my insights. In this world, it is only here to attract the people that do. It's only here to attract the people that agree with the insights, that see the value of the insights. But again, I don't have to deal with, I have purified out the things that don't lead to further protection of me. And that is why I felt safe to create today. That is why I don't know, like, how, like, if you go into your spiritual work, you tell spirit how much a minute of you broadcasting is worth. Because I think that's what Spirit was trying to show me, is like, have you even stepped up and just gone into something and intended to create something with the idea that, like, you will be abundantly supplied for to continue to do this? I don't even think I know how the drop that I just dropped can change my life. Or maybe I fucking do, right? It's the whole fucking picture, right? Because when you really come into inner peace, when you are no longer looking around, moving around, trying to do this or that, trying to become something, when you are really at wholeness with yourself, when you really look at yourself, because I think the thing that I need to share with this video is maybe it's not a message for other people, maybe just this rambling, this style of communication is just the most important to me, is the most necessary chat, because, one thing that I'm realizing is different here, and I guess it's kind of just coming out of me now, is like, there's also a big part of me that wants to podcast, and where it's like, maybe it's not all spiritual download, but it is just about like what the happenings of, my awareness and my understanding really are, and how that works, because I'm at inner peace here. This is about me creating a station that has different sorts of content available. And sometimes you're watching me live, be like, this might be the first podcast episode that's coming out on Tethered Studios, and we'll figure out what the title will be, probably in the title that you're reading. But I'm at such a peace right now, because I don't feel like I'm waiting on something outside of me, because I think the limiting belief that I was just now pondering and coming past as an individual was that, like, I have this gift and ability that probably the people that will uplift this will be like, bitch, why would you not be doing what you're doing? I can't even imagine my life without what you're supplying it now. You know what I mean? And so it's ironic to me to be thinking about how much I, would be possessing these things, but still be like thinking about someone else's idea that could give me that same security. And I really realized it's like, Alexis, that is a limitation. That is you saying that like doing this can't, and just being dedicated to it can't grow, that it can't give you the same limitation, that you can't take the full walk on faith and be who you want to be and get what you want out of this. And so I think that I'm just like really seeing this sort of sense of inner wholeness in myself that is about looking at all parts of me and looking at what I'm willing to give, looking at what I'm doing, and looking at what my specializations are, and not really looking for anybody to put that on. Like, I've spent enough time learning from other people. I've spent enough time, figuring out what they might suggest the path forward for me looks like. And with all of the best things that I've been given, to be able to own and champion this space, this platform, this ability to just like, I don't even give a fuck. I get to get on here and create the narrative of how this is going forward. It's lit. Because on Tethered Studios page, you might get a film series, you might get a psychic reading, you might get a podcast episode, you might get a lot of these different things. You might get an interview, you might, you never really know. And so to be able to be in this sense of inner peace and to know that like, I also, because today, like, I didn't have to push myself beyond what I was capable of. I use divination in every aspect of my life. I think there's a sense of spirituality in every piece of anything I'll ever create. But not everything is always about like a message that I have to give to people because other people might really need the message. Sometimes there are also things that I want to preface that are just like new vibes, that are just like new ways of consuming what's going on here. So I'm really running with it. I'm really running with the minimalist approach to the content because, again, at the end of the day, talking with me, feeling with me, and hopefully the idea here is that Tethered Studios is really on the pulse of what is going on for people right now. And so all the forms of media really meet in the one stream of consciousness that I think I'm trying to tap into. So I'm hoping that that's what that series inspired. And I think it came down to my divine connection. I think it comes down to like, as I've been growing through this cycle and as I've been growing in self-love and as I've been like dealing with like how I used to show up and I'm really learning that like my divine connection never goes anywhere. So building a life around that renewable resource for me makes the most sense. And, I used to really fear my divine connection in a lot of ways because I used to really put limits on like, yeah, but it's not possible for you to also have the things you need while honoring the things that you get connected to through divinity. And, so I feel like that was like a really big thing. But these two cards to me are always giving out this energy of, needing to pray over your personal truth. And I feel like these are all prayers, right? Like when I think about the insight that I'm being asked to share, it's like the prayer card really gives like the spreading or the smoking and the personal truth. And so to me, it's like you find this formula of this is my form of prayer. These are my hopes for, where this can go and how this can support me in the future and just support people in the future in general. I think, what could be missing? What could really be missing? And so maybe that is kind of the general October overview, but also timeless overview of like the time that you're in, because we were in October of 2024 when I was coming into this awareness that like this channel can really be what it needs to be. And no, it doesn't have to incorporate all these different optics, meaning like I need to put you in a different background when you're listening to something different. I just need to be clear about what is packaged on the other side of the content that you're about to click on. And I think we'll be straight. I think we'll be fine because like I said, to me, this is really about what I need to hear and see and less about others. So we're doing an October overview. So let's just split it up into 4 weeks. 4 cards, 4 weeks. Right? It's like an opening 19. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. I think I'm just trying to keep the traction of what I have so it doesn't. So for the first week, Spirit. Finally coming inside. Finally not fucking protesting yourself and coming the fuck inside, right? coming inside. You work so hard. Why keep yourself locked out of, like, you could make the money, you could be the thing, you could do the blah, you could keep the attention, you could make the channel, you could have people who support what the fuck is going on here, or bust, like, whatever. Like, you need to, the first week of October, I think people are coming into fucking fifth gear about, like, what the hell they, like, need to be doing, realistically. And I love to see that. Like, wait, why are we keeping ourselves locked out? Why are we waiting on Peter Pan to come pick a pack of pickled peppers? Like, why are we waiting on that? Like, why don't we move inside? Why don't we bring it inside? You know what I mean? So that's our first week of October, which makes a lot of sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially for where the eclipse is, right? The second week of October is the justice. Second week of October is the justice for the way that spirit is moving us forward. Justice for how you conducted yourself. Because like I said, a lot of things could be moving in tandem at this time. Like, you could be an individual who is, you know, in this first week of October, recognizing what is keeping you outside of the things that you need, right? But the second week of October is going to highlight that, like, there's also the character you had when you had to surrender. You get what I'm saying? And I feel like that's really connected to how I'm feeling right now, where it's like, you know, this first week I'm really realizing, like, okay, we can't let October go by like the rest of these months. We can't. If there's something we can do, it's at least go on air with the things that we're sharing, with the things that we're talking about, with the things that I really would just be talking about amongst my husband, which is great because we could be like Joe Schmo, but this could be the missing puzzle piece about how to connect and round off, like, the individual that I am trying to sustain myself as. And so for this first week, for me to really be realizing, like, first thing I need to do is, like, not be outside. Like, first thing I need to do is, like, give myself the fucking fifth pentacle and give myself that miracle. The miracle idea, the miracle way to come about, like, how I'm going to do this. The miracle of what it's going to intend to be in the future. And then we're going to have that time to address, like, also the times where you were surrendered and you couldn't help how you were going to get done because it wasn't up to you. The things were out of your control. How well I dealt with, like, giving up control while also finding a place where it's not about controlling. I can't decide how this is going to reach people. I can't decide how this is going to touch people. But again, I just keep getting very called to bring to the fore, bring to the now moment, the what I really do, like what I really am, like the very natural vibration, because I have no idea what it is that people are really going to need until they really, really do be needing it. And you're like, oh, yeah, that makes so much sense. And I feel like that's the energy right now, you know, is keep moving, keep grooving, keep showing it up. But that second week of October is really going to be justice coming down. Again, for how people conducted themselves on the boat. So just believe in your justice. But this is taking your, like, I also just feel like the first week of October showing you don't have to be outside if you don't want to. You don't have to feel like you didn't do shit all day if you don't want to. You don't have to feel like your life isn't moving forward if you don't want to. You can move it forward. And Spirit would be encouraging you to do the thing that would just move it forward. Because the second week, it looks like justice that we might have been waiting on comes in. The third week is the Hangman. Again, like I said, the Nine of Swords to me is spiritual insight that you should have moved on. I think right now in real time, like, I'm trying to put this extra little message out to just, like, make sure that you girlies know that, like, if you see me on here, it's because it feels like the guidance at this time that, like, you will feel by the third week of October that, like, the enlightenment will make you feel like there was things that I was stagnating on that I should have moved on. Because think about what it could have been. You don't know what you don't know. These energies are huge. It's a great time to initiate new things that you feel divinely guided to initiate. Let's look at the last. Because by the fourth week of October, you're going to be seeing how strong you are. Like, I think what we're going to be ending with is, like, the strength that's been acquired over this experience. I think the thing that we'll be looking at in the fourth week of October is, like, how buff you are, how much you can keep going, like, the breadth of, like, what you can get done, the breadth of what you can do. King of Cups. I don't know. This has to do with, like, this masculine, this Saturn and Pisces. Like, I feel like right now, maybe that's what I just need to channel this as, is, like, I'm going to call this a Saturn. Oh, let me see if I just did. No, I didn't. Okay. I'm going to call this intuitive forecast is Saturn and Pisces. Like, what we mean by taking the spirituality that you have and putting it in practice. Straight up. Like, I feel like that's what October is really, like, talking about. So let me write this down. Saturn and Pisces. Right? The world of Saturn, all things to do with karma, work put in, diligence, diplomacy, you know, this idea of reputation, all of that being linked to like what you really do, how you really show up, what it really is. And when we talk about the realm of Pisces, again, it's everything. It's a little bit of everything. It's all of it. It's the composite, you know? And it's the source as well, the creative source of it all. So I really feel like there's guidance to come inside. There's guidance to keep, like, because you're not going to want to feel unhoused. You're not going to want to keep yourself in poverty right now. You're not going to want to keep yourself fucking helpless right now. That's not going to feel good in this first week, right? Feeling like, oh my God, everybody else is doing for them. Everybody else is doing for them and I'm not doing for me. You're not going to want to feel that way. You're not going to want to be sitting observing the thing that you can't get inside of. You're just going to want to go inside first week. Because don't be sitting around, like if something is still leaving you outside rejection, you're not on the inside of something, if something is outside of you, you can't have it, then that means it's not in alignment for you. And that means the second week you will be getting the karmic justice for that. No question. The second week of October, you will be getting the karmic justice for that. Right? Because the enlightenment of the third week is like, again, we saw this running theme in a lot of the Zodiac downloads as they were dealing with this idea of like when something gets to the Nine of Swords, right? Which is just like so mentally demanding, you know? And I feel like as people awaken, like I feel like when people get enlightened, a lot of this truth. I also feel like there's a mid-month, and it probably has to do around the full moon if I really wanted to keep measuring down this reading, which whatever, I might. But I think it has to do with this moon. I'm not going to overthink. I'm just going to keep sharing because what the fuck ever. I don't know. Like there's no, it doesn't matter. I can do whatever I want. But I feel like mid-month between the second and third week, which I'm assuming is around the full moon of this month, there's a resurgence. So there's a guilty energy, right? There's an energy that is like responsible because it's like as people are getting enlightened, because as we are raising our consciousness about what's going on, there's something that's coming to the surface. And you will be grateful that you stuck to your guns and that like you spent the month like really like showing that you've got this wild resource. Like again, kind of like piggyback onto that Leo reading if you got the chance to listen to it. You've kind of got this energy that you know how to tame. You don't tell anybody else to tame it. And I think in the end, in the fourth week, if you want to feel the best parts of that feeling, this full moon, which it would make sense, right? Because right now what we're committing to is like doing something with the full moon, like planting a seed under an eclipse and like seeing what we get at the full moon. Because I just feel like this full moon is the Aries full moon is going to give us an opportunity for a big fresh start that like, I think you'd be enlightened to. Matter of fact, let's just clarify. We'll see. Five of Pentacles reverse. Let's clarify the first week. Page of Cups. You got exactly. This first week is going to give everybody an intuitive nudge to like go into your spiritual practice and like really do the thing. Not with the derivative of money, not with the derivative, no, but the reality of who you are. Go into these places, into these practices with the reality of who the fuck you are. But you need to know that Spirit's not going to yell. I'm going to whisper. I'm going to say, hey, it's time to do this. And you need to know it's time to, because there's so many messages available. I just feel like right now, like what I drop now can really like propel some shit. Because in the second week, there's that Scorpio. I'm telling you, the Scorpio collective is directly being affected by justice. I'm telling you. Scorpios, look out, because it's the second time, like in your reading, it was all, you guys are representing like law and order right now. But something in your Scorpionic house, like the part of you that's transformed, The part of you that went under a transformation is about to, the second week, if you play your cards right, justice it's about Ace of Pentacles. It's about a lump sum that goes to you as justice because you transformed. You changed your thought about something. You changed your situation. You didn't just stay doing the same shit. Exactly. Because the Wheel of Fortune at this time is going to be governed by our shadow and how in tune you are. Because what's coming up around the Aries full moon, which is also what I feel. Aries full moon is very much like, to me, always attached with karma. Just because of Libra. Like season, the context of an Aries full moon is always just like, it's on that. But I feel like this Aries full moon is really about to bring some shit to the surface. And I also think, I'm just hearing, these are just downloads I'm having because we'll just see how this all plays back. But I'm hearing it in the third week, there is this energy of like what we do. Like, again, this is a huge download. You heard it here first on Tether Studios. The third week of October of this year, mark my fucking words, what people do for abundance will be clear. Yeah. There's secret. The Aries full moon is about to bring with this new beginning because you're starting at the new moon, which is like right now while I'm filming this. But by the time we get to the full moon, what will come out, what will people will be enlightened to, the darkness that is coming to light is that the motivations for why people do what they do, the motivations for why they're going to give you something, why they're crafting a narrative, why they're blah, blah, blah. Specifically in partnerships. That's what I'm saying. Like specifically with what you're seeing. And that's just, this is huge. Because I have a feeling, again, these two people could be locked out of their abundance and could have used the vehicle of Two of Cups. It's crazy. Like I said, I was watching Midnight Cowboy last night too. And it was such a big fucking message to what the vibes are right now. Like the way that people, like the way that like birds of a feather can flock together and band together to try to manipulate and swindle versus like the way that like what like again I feel like this new moon we're seeing two formats of healthy partnership. We're seeing two formats of what is like how to achieve an outcome, how we can come together. So for the people who are coming together to just get themselves out of this scenario, right? And it's like, oh, you're outside of it too. Why don't we join forces right now and try and figure out a way to like change our status or achieve something or bring in an achievement. And I think by the third week, that all wraps up. If you were someone that was meant to be inspiring, but in the end, it's like you got, like we get enlightened that you got all this on you. It's going to change what we think is valuable is by the third week. Right? And then the girlies who are for real with the shits, like Two of Cups, like real shit, like people who really went from rags to riches type stories at this time. And what I'm just documenting for myself right now on this little general October overview reading is that. And I think Saturn and Pisces has a lot to do with it, because Saturn and Pisces has to do with your spirit, like the laws of your spirit, like what your spiritual health is. And I think when that's the primary view, and we're getting karma and all this stuff about your spiritual health, some of y'all have not transformed for the better. Some of y'all got together and are trying to make goals happen that did not transform you for the better, right? Because I think it's about showing transparently, like what's deceptive, like what's for real, what's serious. But I think when we're coming from a world where like the spirit is outside of ourselves, where it's not something we're regulating internally, to a time when it's completely you're being responsible for the shape it's in, I think a lot of people are in some crazy shape. Spiritually, because a lot of people did stuff for a physical manifestation that checks out, but spiritually is like botched. And that's what I feel like October is going to show. And I'm being asked to play my part. I'm being asked to give as much information as I can give, because I'm not always super motivated. It's not, like I said, I really rely on the source of it all to do this at all. So I can't just say it's like something that I'm just generating. Like, it's time for me to give a message. And that's why you're never going to hear me talking about like, blah, blah, blah. And like, it's going to be very, for me on point. It's going to be very like what the fuck it is. But I feel like October is the time, because October goes from Libra justice to fucking Scorpio. What's the fucking truth? Right? And so by the end of like Libra season is the best time or this month specifically is like the best time to see those things. Like it's like you're getting a judgment call, but we'll find out what the truth is by the end of this month. And I think that that's what's coming forward. That's why I had to drop this like little mini video about me transforming. I don't even have to judge myself. It doesn't even matter because I'm building a space that's for myself, that's for me when I want to hear and listen to this stuff. Or maybe I don't. Maybe it's just something I want to share and that be done. But either way, I feel like the true nature of like what was deceptive about like who had information, who had updates, who were told about what to do and did it anyways, like that is what we're in the midst of this month. And it's a really great time to grow with the moon. It's a really great time to be like growing in awareness, because from Pisces to Aries is transcendental. From Pisces to Aries is that selection of being plucked from the cosmos to like incarnate through a womb. So this is a big deal. You know, this time period where it's like you could be picked to like birth something into form right now, if that's what you want. Like if you can at an energetic level, like what I'm doing right now with my businesses, is just like, if you can at an energetic level, like find a way to know that like you will be summoned to come through a portal, find a way to make it physical, find a way to make it manifest. Because at this time, that's what everyone's doing either way, whether you're high vibrational or low vibrational, you are finding that opportunity in yourself to make that physical. But by the end of the month, I think you're going to be able to be giving and receiving. I think you might be able to do a lot more than you think. But I go back and I get this energy of like two types of partnerships that are being developed. There's like the inauthentic partnership and then there's the authentic partnership. And if you're going the inauthentic partnership route, I just see, you know, over these 3 weeks, it's like first shows what you were committed to, just like brushing over what you were doing coming into partnership. Either way, just wanting to find a synchronicity to connect over. The second week, I really feel like, is when you personally transform, which is when the karma will enact. Because if you are in something that's inauthentic, by the second week, something in October is coming out to where it is visible. You are transformed. Like, this doesn't match anymore. Like, I feel like this is that month. Like, if there was, like, say there's, like, a couple that, like, they swear, like, we're a regular, but, like, after this second week of October, it's the type of thing where, like, something visible about the couple is going to show, like, the incompatibility. And so then the third week is really about the fallout. The third week is about really having to think about what we do for certain resources, certain abundance. You know what I mean? Have you ever cared about being real? Because the last week is really about your strength of self. And again, if you're going down this path of, you know, picking these partnerships, it's probably because you didn't feel that strong in yourself, it's still directly connected to why you would have thought you needed to wait around for someone to give you something. Right? I didn't take the bait. I didn't just wait for some organization to give me something, because I'm going to transform by the second week of October, where maybe the justice makes sense. Like maybe my transformation being documented makes a lot of sense in the end, and in ways that I can't see. And it's going to enlighten me as to why, like, I didn't need to sit around and play docile and play like not do anything about my situation, because the darkness can get darker. You get what I'm saying? The darkness can be a lot worse if you didn't actually integrate your shadow and like spin your wheel, create your abundance. So the thing that I would say to close this video that is most paramount is, don't take the deceptive bait in October. Don't take the deceptive bait in October. Don't take the deceptive bait in October. Don't do it. Don't lie to yourself. Don't say something is coming for you that isn't coming. Because if you don't have proof of it by now, after this eclipse, then it's never coming. Like, there are windows of time where we should move on from certain things that we are waiting on. Because if you wait until something dies, until you literally die, this is like being so stubborn. This is the month where, like, again, if you have that stubborn ass energy where you're like, nah, I'm going to lie to myself. I'm going to be committed to lying to myself. This is not the month for you. This is not going to end well for you. Because at the end of the day, like, you don't want to let yourself get to a point where it's like, because then justice is going to be like, why didn't you leave? Why didn't you do something about it? You knew it was about to get worse. You knew what came with that. This is that month. I feel like collectively, this is that month where, like, if you let yourself believe something that you know is a lie to yourself, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the intentions you have when you want to say. If you are deceptive to yourself in saying that something is, if you just keep waiting, because by the first week, what your needs are going to be completely shown, are going to be completely apparent. You get what I'm saying? And it's undermined by but this intuitive nudge is like, do something about it. Follow the intuitive call to do something about it, to bring the justice into yourself. If you need to work in the way that you can. You know, if you need money from work, then work in the way that you can. Even if no one can hire you, commit to giving some sort of work. I know everyone on this planet can commit to giving some sort of work to be able to provide for themselves, right? So try it, because this would be the month where that all completely changes, where the strength of yourself brought in balance, give and take, without a down payment, without a fucking investment in the beginning. But if you sit and you lie to yourself this month and you say, all these things that I know are just going to work out for me, that you're not actually putting any effort to like affect the whether or not that's actually going to be true, like whether or not it's actually going to work out for you. Yeah, this is not the time to be doing that. This is definitely not the time to be, because I think you're just going to get enlightened that you were never helping yourself, that you were procrastinating, that you're still just not doing what you need to do. You're just not bridging the thing that you need to bridge. You know? So I feel like that's why I needed to share all this. That's why I got to be transparent, that I want you to know that this reader that you're listening to is like going through it with you. Is not like, I'm trying to show you that like based where I'm at, like there's nowhere else for me to be. Like this is the work that I need to be contributing to at this time, because you just, at this point, it's Libra season. You need to put in something to get something out. You know what I mean? So right now during Libra season, you should be investing in your truth in order for Scorpio season to feel like your truth is like something that has value to it, because you've been investing in it all month. So do that. But I just feel like this month there's a lot of deception. There's a lot of people that are lying to themselves and are doing things and starting this month off by like displacing themselves and committing to that displacement, or just going with the illusion. This is scary. That people are starting this month off in a deceptive energy. So I just wanted to come on here to say that this October, do not, like the first thing you want to do this week is make sure to see, like tell yourself, what am I lying to myself about? Like assume that nobody's going to come through for you. Assume that nobody can help you out of the situation, and just go from there. Just go from what you need to do. Because believing that something is just going to intervene without affecting change is not true. You have to be changing the scenario. You have to be spinning the wheel in order for new opportunities to be populating. So another fucking 40-minute video, but I just feel that way. I feel like October, like I said, is going to be that month where collectively, like, we see that. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like we see those turns. Again, it's like this justice energy, but it's just like you're going to see the turn of like, there is no reason to sit up here and lie to yourself when you are perfectly able-bodied to like bring in the things that you want at this point. But I do feel like post that eclipse, post all that help I gave you with these zodiac signs, is like you do need to be able to understand that like for October, for this season of your life, for this phase of your life, you do have to take the steps now. And I'm sharing, and I've just let you like extemporaneously go along the journey with me about what steps like I'm sharing and like what I'm doing in order to be in this energy, so that I'm not lying to myself, that I am just like, you know what, at the end of the fucking day, my boss in this space doesn't give a shit about too much. I get pretty much free reign to like deliver the information that I have available for people the way that I can. So I am just doing that. But you know, when we talk about, again, like Saturn and Pisces, I think that's like, that's the biggest test, is like, you cannot keep lying to yourself. When Saturn is involved in Pisces, like the Pisces area of you needs to be fucking for real. So I think, you know, we need to be honest with ourselves about the things that are just deceptive and not invest in those if we don't want to see the rest of the month play out as that just unraveling. Because that will be happening during this month. So congratulations to all of you who made it through the eclipse, because that meant time's up. That meant like what's real is what's real. You need to start working with what's in front of you. You need to start working with what's right on your table. You need to start looking at, it's not the people that are fucking phone calls away. No, it's what's on your plate is the reality. So don't try to look away from that. Don't try to wait around for something else to come in. Like, assume this is the materials that you have to make your dreams come true, and make them come true, because I know you have plenty to do so. Thanks.